Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Comic-Con podcast. Welcome to episode 31. Hopefully, everyone's having a great week. We're actually recording this early. We're recording this on August the 9th because my man Zack is actually going away and got some business, personal stuff going on. And I also have some stuff later in the week, so we figured we'd get this one in early. I am one of your hosts for the evening, Justin, a.k.a. Nemesis Prime. What is going on? Co-host Zack, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? Yeah, I know it's like a short turnaround. We just recorded on Thursday last week, and then we're like, hey, we're doing Monday. It's like, oh shit, okay. But no, yeah, it's just been, it always seems like with life, things just are super busy all at once. So yeah, I got to go out of town for a little work thing this weekend. So always good to kind of knock it out early. The downside is the news, but we have a lot of good stuff to talk about this week. So.
Yeah, definitely some interesting stuff happened today on Monday. But before we get into that, of course, we always like to jump into our community section. And for our community section this week, we actually have a special guest, our man Matt X, Last Level Comics, who I had the pleasure of hanging out with pretty much all weekend at Terrificon 2021. Say hello, Matt. What is up?
What is up, Justin, Zach? Thank you so much for having me on. Long-time listener. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to dig into Terrificon. I mean, I got some great stories. I mean, how else can I explain what it took to get Justin to ride a mechanical bull on Friday night? I mean, I got all the dirt that people want to hear.
I'm imagining it didn't take much. A couple mixed drinks and he was good to go, I imagine.
Yeah. I don't even think the mixed drinks would have mattered. I think he was just like, there's a bull and I'm going to own that thing.
It was a lot of peer pressure and then some shots were coming through. So it was there. So for anybody who doesn't know you, Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where can people find you? Are you on any channels? What do you like to do?
So my name's Matt. I primarily on IG right now, X Last Level Comics. Starting to get my YouTube channel up and running. Where do I start? It started in video games 10 years ago. I had a brick and mortar store where I was selling video games. Transitioned to everything online. Been into comic books forever. I'm the lone survivor DC fan here, getting smothered by all this Marvel love. I mean, I feel like I'm gasping for air.
Hey, that's how I
feel. But love comics, love reading them, love the comic community. Was so stoked to go to Terrificon this past week. First con in almost a year and a half. Mm-hmm. It almost felt weird walking in and seeing the booths and doing it without a mask. I think that was the weirdest part, being free.
And I was just talking to someone actually today, and they were saying that actually our friend Greg from MTG Comics, who was on the show a while ago, we were talking about King Kong, his show upcoming in September, and he was there on Friday and Saturday, and he even said the same thing. He's like, it felt like normal. It felt like coming back to normal, but then we got into the conversation at New York Comic Con, and we both don't think that's happening. So
yeah, right.
Now, for Matt, was this your first Terrificon? Or
no, this is my third. I was scheduled for 2019. Mm-hmm. I had the bags packed, ready to go. I left work, and somebody hit me on the highway, ready to go. So my car got totaled, and I could not get a rental fast enough to get there. I was miserable, and it was 2019 was probably one of the best shows that they've had up there, and I missed it.
Yes.
Damn. So getting back there this year, again, amazing show. Can't wait to dig into some of the artist stories I have. Such great artists, great people. I met so many people from IG. I mean, everyone. Very Gary, Three Men, Principal Defects, Hooked on Comics, you name it, I met them. And the artists were so friendly and so happy to have people back in front of them. I think that was the best part. The artists loved that they were back in their prime, signing books, doing remarks, and then there was just one that wasn't.
I mean, that had to have for sure financially hit a lot of these people in the comic book community. Even some of the small, we're not talking the big writers and artists and stuff, but the people on artist alleys who, do their own artwork and sell it and go from con to con. And this pandemic has just probably crushed them, man. So it's good to hear. It's good to see. Were they still selling? I know, Justin, you said it was primarily comics. And I meant to ask you this last week. But there's still the Funko Pops and all the weirdo knicknacks you get at the cons and stuff.
No, there was definitely the Funko Pop stuff. I mean, there was a booth. They had obviously the one guy with the one booth, because I was hungry, had chocolate, different types of chocolate. So they had the big chocolate bars, and you'd cut it. And I got different flavors because I was hungry. I was walking around the floor. Yeah, there was definitely some, bracelets and necklaces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nowhere at the extent of like New York Comic Con or even San Diego, like you've been to. But there was definitely some of those people. But like you said, it definitely for the the lesser known artists or even the guys that just do the con shows. I tried to buy any table that I walked up to. I tried to buy something, whether it's like stickers to put on my wall or like a button here and there, just something give it. You're part of this community, so give to who needs it.
Right.
I 100% agree with you. The $5, $1 bins, like the short boxes, were great all show. But one thing I did notice, those high dollar keys, those prices were off the charts.
They'll crush you, dude, at the cons. Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a markup for a con. You go in, know it, but you're going to get it right then. You're not going to worry about shipping. You're not going to worry about eBay or FeeBay, whatever you want to say. You get the book you want. And I was going in there looking for some two pretty big books. I wanted the first Mr. Freeze, and I wanted the first Joker putting on the Red Hood from Detective Comics. And I found one Batman 121, and it was a 3.0, and the guy wanted like $5,000. Like, and I was like, all right, man, I want to haggle with you. I want that book, but like, can we be realistic? Like, I can go on eBay and get a 4.5 for that, but like, but again, just the people were there were outstanding.
So, spoiler alert: did you get it or not?
No, he wasn't budget.
He wasn't haggling.
And I was there all 3 days. I was there almost to like the midpoint Sunday, and I walked around, and I was gracious enough to get a vendor pass. So I was in there at 8:00 when it was pitch black, when they were setting up their booths, trying to work deals out with these people, and they were just like, "No, I need every penny of this." Just like you were saying, how it hit them.
Yeah.
These books are so hot right now. I know I'm going to get what I'm going to get eventually. If not here, I'll be in another con in a month or two, and I'll put it up there.
It's unfortunately true, probably.
Yeah. And again, just like Justin said, with New York Comic Con news this week, MegaCon, they already masked up for this coming week.
Really?
Yeah, MegaCon 100% have to have a mask on throughout the all 3 days.
MegaCon's Orlando?
Florida, yeah.
It's in Orlando, though, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, everyone that's listening, they kind of heard my speech on how I love Terrificon and how I think it's the quintessential show to go to if you're a comic book person. But, from your point of view, how do you rate Terrificon compared to other, big conventions, like 3-day big conventions?
So on the East Coast, I usually say there's 3 big ones. Baltimore, I think, trumps New York Comic Con all the time. New York Comic Con, I think, is overfabricated. So I would say Baltimore Comic Con is my number 1. Terrificon is my number 2. And I'll tell you, I had a blast at the East Coast Comic Con in 2019. I thought they had a great lineup, awesome artists, awesome venue, just super fun experience. So this year, I mean, I only have tickets for Baltimore. But again, with all the news right now, I don't think it's going to happen. So I think Terrificon may be the one and only. So it's going to reign supreme in my book because I got to do it without a mask, and I got to meet some amazing artists. And it was a blast. And again, it was in the casino. So I got lucky in the casino. So how could you say that, it was a bad time?
Yeah, that's like the best part about it. And that's what I said last week. It's the fact that you can walk out of your hotel, walk down to the convention floor, hang out for a little bit. And, I talked about this, we did this on Saturday. We walked around for a little bit. I went out to lunch with one of my friends, came back. And then me, you, your wife, and Travis, we went, hung out by the pool and the jacuzzi.
Yeah.
And then we went back on the floor. Like, where else are you going to do that? What other show can you do that at?
We had a Queen tribute band Friday night that we were rocking out to. We had a mechanical bull. And you name it, we did it. We ate in an Irish pub.
Yeah,
it's the well-rounded, perfect experience. And again, it's top class. The casino's clean. The food is great. You're not really paying overpriced for drinks. We were getting drinks for $5. In a casino, that's great. I have no complaints.
It's nothing like the places in Jersey. Like
we went bowling.
Casinos down here, it's ridiculous. But up there, the prices were perfect. It wasn't. You definitely weren't getting killed on that. And then just everybody, of course, in the community is walking around. And I had some stories last week where I ran into artists and writers like just hanging out. And I'm sure you could probably say the same thing. It's just the fact that you're just kind of like walking through, and people are walking right by you, or you could see someone at like the bar or blackjack table. You just. That's how great Terrificon is.
So Michael Rooker was the A star from Walking Dead this year, from a movie perspective. When he walked in the front door, he'd go in the back door. He walked in the front door. He walked right down the center aisle. He was taking pictures with everyone. Hurry up! Come on, get in here, everyone! Get in your space. You got 5 seconds. I'm moving. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. But he was so fun, so chill. Let people like put their arms around him, shaking hands. Like that's what makes it the best.
You mean Savant, right? From Suicide Squad. That's who we're talking about. Right? That's that's like his biggest role. So.
We'll get onto that. Yeah. He was in that movie.
Well, we got to get you actually, as you were talking about this, you're talking about like masking up for like the cons and whatnot, and I just quickly Googled because I'm trying to think like, well, if I'm a little bit surprised MegaCon with masks because it's Florida. So then I was like, well, okay, Texas, bro, what's coming up in Texas? So Big Texas Comic Con 2021, October 8th through the 10th. So in San Antonio, might have to try that one out.
Oh, that's the same weekend as would have been New York Comic Con. So
hey. Sell your tickets and buy a flight down. I'll meet you in San Antonio.
Oh shit, bro! That could happen.
That's like an 8-hour drive for me. It's not too bad.
I already have the time off. I always request that in like January. I always request that weekend off in like.
You're up too, Matt. You're more than welcome. Let's do it.
Oh man, that's an idea.
Make something happen.
San Antonio, baby. San Antonio's fun too, man. The Riverwalk area is really nice, and the weather. It's not like some of the more humid areas. I mean, it's still going to be a little hot, but.
I've been to Houston. I've been to Dallas. I haven't been to San Antonio. So
it's cool, man.
Let's check another spot off.
Oh,
and again, hunting books at a con, I'm in.
Yeah, Zack said that last week. He's like, I'm not big of a hunter. He's like, as much as you. And hell, you saw my haul. I left with like a short box full.
Yeah,
every day. See, this is what I got to hear every day. Oh man, I maxed out the ATM for the day. Oh, hold on. It's now Saturday. Thank God that ATM was let me hit that again. Come on. Man, I won like 150 last night in one casino game. I was out. That money was gone by 9:30 the next morning.
Yeah, I'm more of that. I mean, I definitely got to make it up to Terrificon at some point because we talked about this last week. Like the hunt and stuff, that's not really me. I'm more of I like the environment. I like to hang out, like you said, with the IG community, with the other guys in the community, the YouTube dudes, like just the community in general. Like that's what I have fun doing.
And that's what
roaming and talking.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's right there. Because again, you have the pool, you have the restaurants, you have the shopping area, you have the casino, you have everything in one area. They had a comedy club, a bowling alley downstairs, blues house of blues where they were bringing in artists and bands every night. It was just an experience. That's how I call it. It's not a con; it's an experience.
Yeah, definitely. So
yeah, word is you got a good story.
Yeah, this is a Comic-Con podcast exclusive that Matt is going to divulge. I teased this last week on Lords of the Long Box. I didn't really want to get into it because, obviously I wasn't the person. I heard it from, you. So since you were right there when this happened, I figured this is a perfect person to talk about because a lot of people don't like him and he's a big fan of ours on Lords of the Long Box. So what do we got, Matt? What's the story?
He's like one of the hottest artists right now, isn't he? So
is he?
Well, you'll figure that out after I tell my story. But who we're talking about is Mr. Donny Cates himself,
the writer Donny Cates,
creator. So he had a signature signing booth. He was doing 2 hours on Friday, 2 hours on Saturday. He was very limited. He wasn't there the whole day. He had set time, and his beautiful wife Megan was next to him, and Megan is phenomenal. She does amazing artwork, great personality. Well, I had two things in mind. One, I wanted to hit up Donny Cates because I had a bunch of the Venom run, Dylan Brock. When you get an opportunity for him to get some signatures on books that will be big down the line because Dylan Brock has to come out, you're not going to miss that opportunity. And then I had Megan, who's just did an awesome cover, exclusive cover for Nice House on the Lake, right to the left. So we divided and conquered. I had a friend with me. He went to Donny Cates because that's fine. That's his interest. And I went to Megan to get these remarks. We got our signatures done. No problem. But then this kid, and I'm saying, when I say kid, I'm thinking someone that's maybe 17 to 15 years old, loves reading the books, still reads the books, not just there for the signatures and to go flip them online, but reads the book, invest in these characters, walks right up to Donny Cates, grin like the Joker just sliced his face. This kid was on cloud 9 and was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy to meet you." And he goes, "Really? Why?" Like, no chill. Like, I was standing right next to him getting a signature, and I'm like, man, this kid's heart just fell right through his chest. Like, he's done. Like, are you all right? Like, I wanted to like help hold the kid up, and he's like, why do people always come up and say that to people like when they want to get a signature? Like, oh, I'm so excited to see you. And I said, and I'm like sitting there like, maybe because they're excited to see you. And the kid goes, he puts down his books. And he goes, oh my God, Black Winter, so amazing. I can't believe he's gone. You got to tell me, is he coming back? And Donnie literally slid back in his chair, looked at him and said, why would I even disclose that to you? Like, don't you think I have like plans, or like that would be like, I would just spoil everything if I told you that. And this kid's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. He goes, wait, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. He's going to come back in issue 26. So you need to leave here and go pre-order every single copy of that book. So that would be great. And at that point, the kid just shut down. Like, he didn't have anything to say anymore. He was like, okay, can you just sign my books? Wow. And Megan was just finishing my second remark. She was doing Walter on this cover. Phenomenal job. And she was doing her first remark of the day, and she was just getting back into drawing the characters. And she's like, so I think I did him right, just kind of casually chatting. And he goes, well, what are you doing? Donnie says this to Megan. And she holds up Nice House on the Lake. He's like, what book is that? And she's like, this is Nice House on the Lake. And he goes, wait, that's by that Tynion guy? He goes, yeah, F that guy. F that guy and any artist that outsells me. And at that point, like, the line was speechless. Like, there was probably 30 people behind us, and the next 5 in line were just like, yeah, I'm not saying a word. I'm literally going up there getting my signature. I'm moving on with my day. Yeah. So I don't know if it was a bad day or what, but to continue that story a little later, he was leaving the con, and again, didn't go out the back door, went out the front, and there was a couple of people that were like, hey, Donnie, like trying to get his attention, wave. He blew them off like he was in and out, like had no interest, was right out that door and was gone. Wow. And I was just, I mean, I've heard the stories, but being right there, like in the moment, standing next to him as this went down, if I was that kid, I don't think I'd ever read another piece of work of his. I just couldn't do it.
That's wild, man. I wonder if it's like, so I had, I met him in like early 2019 and did an interview with him, like super casual at like a brewery. So we're drinking beers, we're eating tacos, and we're talking all things. Kind of Venom had just, what was that 2019? Is that about right? Like Venom had just maybe not even came out. So maybe it was 2018. I don't think it came out. He was getting ready to start Venom whenever we talked to him. And he was great. I mean, like, he was friendly. It was like nothing like that at all. I wonder if he just, I mean, he leans heavy into this whole like bad boy of comics thing. You know what I mean? And so I wonder also if he's just not funny. And I wonder if he thought he was being funny and just like fucking died. You know what I mean? Like flatlined on that joke. But that sounds horrible.
Well, again, somebody was posting a little later on a group that Justin and I frequent with on Facebook, and they said, oh yeah, I got this signature by Donny Cates, and it was a rough experience. Like, didn't go into details, and I was like, wow. It's funny you say that. And I'm like, and I didn't go into detail. I said, there was a rash moment with him and a young fan that I don't think the fan will ever come back and buy another book from him based off of that experience. And I guess somebody knew Donnie in the community from that post, and they said, I showed Donnie this feedback. He wants everyone to know his sarcasm is sometimes hard to judge. He loves everyone. Please don't take it to heart. So like the fact that we went to that level, it's like, it's okay, but like, I mean, these are kids that this may be their first time they ever walked up to an artist.
Yeah,
they've been reading this book. I mean, come on, Dylan Brock's been out for a little over a year, so they've been holding the story. Black Winter was a big character that unfortunately may or may not be gone or coming back, and then you just want to talk to the artist that created him to be shot down like instantly. Like,
right?
It was like, hi, how you doing? Stop talking. Yeah. Like, how do you respond to that as a fan? Like, I would sit there, even being 34 years old, I'd be like, what? Okay.
Well, and like read the room too. I mean, if you're going to be sarcastic and be funny, or they think you're being funny or being sarcastic, maybe follow up with like, hey man, I'm just joking. Like read the room, There
was none of that. Like, it was straight crickets after that for the next 3 minutes for him to finish his signatures.
Wow. I'm glad I don't really need anything else signed from him. I met him at 2019 both Otto and myself, we ran into him at Terrificon in 2019 when him and Ryan were there, Stegman, and we saw them while they were coming in. Like literally, they just got dropped off. They had their baggage, and we're both just. I'm like, that's Donny Cates, and Otto walks right up to him, and he's like, Donny, and he goes, yeah, and started a conversation. We all took a photo. It was them two and Frank Thierry. Just really, they were cool then because I had my Absolute Carnage book signed back then, and now it's just like, man, after that story and.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I know what it was. Otto was the last person to meet with Donny before he took a 15-minute break, and then I was after him. So it may not have been Donny. He may just had too much Otto in his life. He had that last-minute experience with him. Then he had to take a 15-minute break from that whole altercation, and then he just came back and took it out on me, or not me, the kid behind me.
Yeah.
So,
oh man.
So Otto, if you hear this, it's your fault. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Who knows? I mean, like I said, I think I just looked up the dates. It was April of 2019 when I talked to him, and it was like I can't remember. I want to say Venom probably was going on. I'd have to look at the issues.
Venom, definitely, because I got Absolute Carnage was out in 2019. So
yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
Run, and then where he was like he needed to be on like this big tie-in, like the
right
Marvel event.
So I mean, and obviously Venom like jump started. I don't want to say jump started, but skyrocketed him. So who knows? Maybe he's just kind of it's got to his head a little bit. But on that note,
the series.
Yeah, have you read? I guess I asked Justin this last week. Matt, did you catch the free comic book day Avengers issue with the Hulk tie-in by Donny Cates?
I did not.
So they gave a little like at the end of the preview. I don't know if it's like a tie-in or if it's like the first 3 pages or whatever of his start to Incredible Hulk. And I don't know, man. Like, don't get me wrong. I think what he did with Venom was groundbreaking. And I'll give it a chance. I'm going to read the Hulk stuff, of course. But the tone is so different and completely different than like the Immortal Hulk tone. And I feel like Hulk is a different character. It can only be written like a certain kind of way, I feel like. And I don't know. I think he's going into it in a strange way. It might flop. I read it and I was like, okay, we'll see.
He's not for everyone. I will say that. And I think Venom was the perfect path for him because Venom is that, just like Justin said, he has that bad boy of comics personality, and you can portray that in Venom because he is that anti-hero in a sense.
Right. And the thing about Venom, it's people don't really realize this. Venom's been around a while and he's super popular, but no one's had a run that long on Venom, and there's really not a lot of backstory and mythology to Venom. Like a lot of that stuff was convoluted and like mixed up with the symbiotes and whatnot. And he kind of had almost like a clean deck to work on a great character that really hadn't been finger fucked too much. You know what I mean? So yeah,
that's what we'll go with. We'll go with sex.
Oh no, I'm not making any excuse for him. I'm talking about Venom. I just wonder. I don't know. Was that time of the month for Donny Cates, or what was the deal, dude? Maybe he lost in craps like right before he went in there.
It could have been. Like, I mean, I didn't know if Megan changes Depends or not. I mean,
so, other than that, do you have any other great stories from Terrificon? Because if not, we can obviously move on to our next.
I had a fantastic commission done by Ryan Gary Brown. Absolutely blown away. I have been working with a comic book dealer out of the UK to get Ryan involved in Something Killing the Children books, and we've been just scraping the surface. We're almost there. So I said, "Hey Ryan, I need you to just blow me away with a sketch cover because I want to send it to him. I want to use that as a stepping off point." And he literally stayed up at night, went out in the hallway with his headphones on, propped himself up with 2 pillows at 2 a.m, and was working on this sketch cover to make sure it was perfect. And absolutely flawless. Yeah. So I mean, the guy just does fantastic work, and he's so personable with his fans. Like every person that walked up to his booth, full conversation, pictures. His wife and kid were there. Amazing people. I mean, he does everything. It doesn't matter if it's game pieces, cards. He did an A to Z for Zombies Kids book. I just really value him as an artist in the community.
That's awesome. Ryan's definitely a great guy. I spoke about it last week. He did Gary Gary's comics, The Last Ronin, his exclusive cover. But him and I had a great conversation regarding Masters of the Universe Revelations. And then, another artist came by and we were all just talking about that and, constantly just walking up and down, the rows, 3 days there, you kind of just constantly stop back and have conversations with him because if he didn't have a line and he didn't look like he was working on a commission, he's just a great guy to talk to. So moving on, let's kind of get into our Suicide Squad review. So if anybody hasn't seen it, you may want to skip over probably the next 15 minutes because since there's 3 of us here, we're definitely going to talk about it in some good length. So that's been your 10 seconds to skip over to our next section. But we'll get right into our Suicide Squad, the James Gunn version review. And since we have a guest on, why don't we go with the guest's opinion? What did you think?
You want to go for me last because this movie, in my opinion, was horrible.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then we'll save the worst for last.
So I want to hear your good so that I can counter all your good with the garbage that they actually.
And you're a DC fan too, right?
I'm a DC fan.
Massive DC fan. Okay.
So Zach, do you want to take it first? Or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think you and we kind of chatted about it, and so we'll be kind of on the same page. I thought it was a lot of fun. I went into it not very expecting much. The first Suicide Squad, I know a lot of people didn't like it. After the second watch through, I enjoyed it more than the first time I watched it. So going into this one, I was like, okay, let's see what's up. I was a little wary in terms of, am I going to see a Marvel movie done by James Gunn with the Suicide Squad? And it did feel a lot like Guardians, but I felt like it was good because Suicide Squad has so many unknown characters. I mean, you're talking not even like, this is like tertiary and like quandary characters. Like, these are like C, D, E level characters in the DC universe. You know what I mean? So they're kind of zany, and I thought it was good that way. And I mean, I could talk a lot, but to pass it over to Justin, I mean, I really want to say that I actually had a lot of fun watching this. I laughed out loud multiple times. My wife was with me laughing out loud as well. And the last thing before I kick it to you, Justin, was, and I think I told you this, was I was super surprised that I saw boobs and penis in this movie, which I was like, whoa, DC really went with it in this one. So
yeah. So before I get into my total review, this actually just dropped today as well. So regarding the Peacemaker spinoff, it officially is going to be taking place before and after the events of the film. So if anybody's out there and is waiting for that to come out on HBO Max, we're going to have some pre-movie stuff and some after-movie stuff. Of course, at the end of the movie, spoiler, you're into this part, he survives, obviously, and that's where the Peacemaker series comes from. For myself, first time I watched it, it was definitely over the top, and there were times while I was watching where I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I can really take this over the top. But after I saw it a second time yesterday on Sunday, I really liked the movie. After my first viewing, I said that I thought that they really did well with each of the characters. The problem with the first one was it was very Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. This one, obviously my favorite thing, and I'm so happy they got it over and done with, was killing Pete Davidson within the first 5 minutes of the movie. So happy he bit the bullet and he didn't show up after the beach scene. Speaking of the beach scene, it was like Apocalypse Now. Yeah, it was like Saving Private Ryan. It was just a bloodbath. So that was awesome. Regarding all the characters, again, I think they each had their own story lines. They each had their own enough time on screen where you felt like you could be invested in a character. I thought Ratcatcher 2 was going to be a terrible character. I really liked her. I thought she was funny.
Agreed.
I figured King Shark would be like the new Rocket Raccoon, and he was. He wasn't as great as he is in the Harley Quinn animated, but yeah, he was definitely funny. The back and forth banter with Peacemaker, and thinking of Apex Legends. Oof, I play way too much Apex Legends. Peacemaker and Bloodsport, like when they're walking through the Rebels thing and they're trying to like outdo each other, that totally reminded me of like, I don't know, like the Expendables movie, like with all those guys. Like that's how I felt on that. And then just the big baddie, man, Starro definitely nailed it. People bitched because you knew who the villain was going to be in the trailers, and that was just like, oh well, I guess it's Starro. But I don't know. The storyline for Starro was done quite well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it wasn't like he was the big bad. You know what I mean? It was just it was like it was there. It wasn't necessarily the big bad. So
he's the cover up. I mean,
yeah.
Were you upset that they wasted Starro though on Suicide Squad and didn't utilize him with the Justice League?
There's just so many better characters for the Justice League.
Yeah.
To waste time on Starro, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not the '60s anymore. You can't bring a conquering starfish to Earth to have him fight the Justice League, because then people
conquering starfish.
I don't know. And just last but not least, Harley Quinn. You know, again, this movie wasn't about her, but man, Margot Robbie. You have to really think about it. Like, she's a great actress. Like, she is, and this movie, she really does Harley Quinn better than anyone probably will ever be. I think she's really got at that point where Harley Quinn is who she is, but at the same time, she could walk away and she could do tons of movies as a great actress. So,
see, I think she shined more in this than Birds of Prey.
Oh, Birds of Prey was horrendous, in my opinion.
You know, the introduction of her in the last Suicide Squad movie was good. I felt she was Harley Quinn. Birds of Prey, I felt like it was a take back, but it's still her. But this movie just escalated her to, to a great status where you're like, I'm watching her, and it's just like I'm watching like the animated series, I'm watching the HBO Max version, I'm watching any of the versions that I've seen like in the DC animated movies, like that, takes me into Harley Quinn as a character. So, me after my second time as a review, I think it was very good. It was lighthearted, it was funny, everything. It's a standalone movie. It didn't need to be like people are the Snyderverse. Like, it was just there. I'll probably watch it again and laugh more. I laughed more the second time than I did for the first time. So, we got 2 positives. Let's get on to you, Matt. What did you think?
So the best part of this movie was when everyone died in the first 10 minutes. And after that, it was literally one dick joke short of just being a disaster. So let me go into it. First and foremost, John Cena should never act. The man should just keep his washed-up career in the WWE and just stay there. We can't see you. Nobody wants to. The fact that they're making another movie with him as Peacemaker, quite frankly, why? He should have died. Bloodsport should have just killed him. Let him die. The fact that, so I like the fact that, just like you said, it's a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, which is R-rated, and James Gunn had the ability to do what he wanted. So they bought. It was kind of a slap in the face from Marvel, because Marvel cut him for being himself, and then DC freed him to be himself. The story was just crap. I'm sorry. It was just so bogus, off the wall, which, again, some people like something that's just slapstick funny. But again, when you're just one fuck joke and one dick joke away every 5 minutes, that you're just like, oh my God, is there any substance to this? That you just want to rip your eyes out. Again, standout performances. Harley Quinn was amazing. Sylvester Stallone as King Shark, like I said, he did what Vin Diesel did with Groot. He had his 3 little taglines and a comical character that sat in a bus. I mean, what more could you do? But I want a true Suicide Squad story. I want them on like a good mission, not a, oh my God, we're fighting zombies and Enchantress in number 1, and now we're going after Starro in number 2. Like, these characters had substance to do this, to try to get their prison sentence shortened or get back out in the world, and it was just slapstick, stupid humor thrown at you to just be like, oh, we can do something funny. We don't always have to be serious, but yet let's throw in about 7 more dick jokes and a couple more fuck yous. Like, that's all it was. Like, to me, like, literally, like, every time it was like, oh, we had an emotional experience with Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport. Okay, wow, we're understanding why Bloodsport doesn't like rats and why Ratcatcher loves rats. Like, there's a connection there. Oh, here comes Peacemaker with his big dumb mouth to ruin any kind of substance we had at that moment. Like, why? Why couldn't the first 5 minutes, when everyone died, couldn't Weasel have just scurried up the beach and just bit his fucking face off? Like, I wanted it to happen the entire movie, and it was 2 hours long. That's a lot of times you wanted that to happen. It was painful. I mean, yeah, Star was cool, but then when you have like Polka Dot Man, like the whole scene where Polka Dot Man's like up in the house and he sees his mom, like, why? Like, what am I watching? Like, it's fuck. Like, I couldn't fathom it. Like,
I loved Polka Dot Man. Actually, I kind of feel like Polka Dot Man like stole the show, and even the actor, his like facial expressions. I have the mental image of when he's walking with Harley through the street, and he's like saying something normal, and then he's like, ha, ha. It's just like, oh my god, dude, this guy's deranged.
It was awkward. It was like you felt awkward.
I loved it.
The scene with Milton, the whole scene in the house when the driver died, and they're like, Milton's dead. Who's Milton? They spent 15 or 10 minutes. I'm exaggerating. 10 minutes arguing over who this Milton character was. Like, oh my god, I don't care. Like, it was painful for me. It was painful for me, and I'm a huge DC fan. Like, I will take a super dark DC film with Ben Affleck any day of the week over watching like an Iron Man 3 or something that's just stupid humor thrown at me to be humorous. Like,
so, and everyone listening, just so you know, Matt is a DC fan, right? You're a huge DC Comics guy, right?
Yes, I think I may own 2 Marvel slabs, and I own probably 150 DC slabs.
Okay, so just everybody out there who thinks this is a Marvel
bagging on DC.
No, this is a DC fan bagging on DC. Right
okay.
Now. I mean, I bagged on Black Widow too, but that was as justified as this. I mean,
and Justin and I have talked about this. I think we were talking about when the Justice League Zack Snyder movie came out. We were talking about all the movies and how we agreed that, like you just kind of said, in Suicide Squad 1, them going up against this like end of the world threat. That's not a Suicide Squad mission. Right. And I liked what you just said now about how, honestly, at the beginning of this movie, I actually had forgot that we had been leaked that Starro was going to show up until it kind of got to a spot in the movie. But I was like, cool, they sent him to Corto Maltese or whatever, and they're going to overthrow this government. It's obviously like super shady American government doing shit. That's Suicide Squad.
And it's villains. Like,
it's villains
in to do villain work.
Because who cares? They're expedient. Yeah, you can get rid of them. It doesn't matter. And these small little missions, and I think Justin and I talked about how I would have loved to see like a Suicide Squad movie with multiple missions to see like some phase in, some phase out, new come in, new die.
Like one screws up, she ends their life, and they take plausible accountability because they just screwed up, and then we move on to the next set of characters.
Yeah. I agree with you. That would be the ideal movie. I did like this. John Cena, I'm with you. I hate John Cena, I hate him. And I actually liked him though.
Since you brought him up, you know the part, and this is gonna be, you're gonna laugh and you're gonna be like, oh, that's terrible. So you know the part where Bloodsport and him are in the rebel camp, like I said earlier, and at the end he shoots the bullet, and it's just like he's like, oh, that was just like a flesh wound. He's like concussion bullet or expanding bullet or whatever. And then Bloodsport says to him, he goes, nobody likes to show off, and Peacemaker goes, unless it's dope as fuck.
Yeah,
and I tell you when he says can I tell you when he says that? I literally see you, Zach. Him say,
awesome.
He literally says it, and I'm just like, I feel like that's the way sometimes, like when you make fun of people, on here, like when you do your voice, I'm like, that's what Zach sounds like.
That's why I thought it was so funny. I remember watching the Peacemaker scenes, and I'm with you, and I get it, Matt, like why you would hate it because you're such a fan, and it's almost like they're kind of making light of it. But like, I turned to my wife, and I think I paused, and I was like, I hate John Cena so much, but this is like the perfect role because he is a fucking terrible actor and an idiot. And this is like, he just leans into this. This is perfect for him. You know what I mean? So,
he even said in the teaser trailer that he's a douchey Captain America. He went to all the interviews and even like the premiere in the costume. Like, he's taking it as like such a joke. So yeah, it's a joke.
If there was an island full of dicks, I would take all those dicks. Like, come on!
I forgot about that part. Yeah.
The best movie John Cena ever done was Cockblockers. I'm sorry. He played the super overprotective dad to a T.
Mm-hmm. Like, I remember. I never watched it, but I know what you're talking about.
But that was other than that, I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him in Fast and Furious. I don't want to talk about that series.
It's horrible.
I don't go down that road.
All right.
Okay, so what about
Paul Walker? Let's just leave it there.
What about? Let me ask you guys a question on this. And this is, I don't know if this is moderately controversial or not, but it turned out better than I thought it was going to be. But Bloodsport is Deadshot. I mean, it's like almost the same goddamn character. And then like the role was the same too. It's like we got 2 African Americans. They're doing this because of their daughter, and they're both marksmen. And it's like, wow, man, like you just kind of really interchange these 2 characters. And I love Idris Elba. But yeah, dude, I was I wasn't super hyped about his character, but I ended up liking him more than I liked Will Smith's Deadshot.
I liked his gadget. I loved how he put his gun together.
It was awesome.
Like
how he just grabbed all his suit.
And he pulled the pieces out and then made the gun. Like, that was awesome.
Was cool.
I was like, all right, here we go. Something cool. Oh, he fired 5 bullets and it's done.
I definitely liked him better than Deadshot, in my opinion.
Yeah, he definitely had a more leadership role, and he didn't want to be the leader. You know, in every scene, he acted like the leader. You know, when King Shark's about ready to eat Ratcatcher, and like he just creates that gun and just starts shooting the shit out of him, and yeah, he just kind of takes control of that situation. And in the bar, I think the bar scene is funny too. There's some things that are said in there that are really funny, but
like, it had its moments. It had like its 5-minute snip. Like, I could watch the 5-minute sizzle reel and be like, okay, cool, great. But to sit me down and say, oh, let's watch this 2-hour and 15-minute movie again, no, I'll pass.
I actually kind of want to watch it. I kind of want to sit down and watch it again now. It's like I really had fun, man. I had fun.
Yeah, that's how it is. I just went into it not thinking, because you know what it is, like with Marvel movies, you go in thinking, okay, it's what is it setting up for, like
what do I have to pay attention to?
Yeah,
where are the Easter eggs? Yeah,
exactly. Like this, it was just a standalone movie. There was nothing about Batman. There was obviously the thing you hear in the trailer where Bloodsport put Superman in the ICU, which is his first appearance. It happens. Like, so other than that, there's nothing about the Flash or Wonder Woman, none of that stuff. I was sad to see Captain Boomerang go, to be honest. Jay Courtney's a great actor, and him to bite the bullet, I'm just like, oh no. But I guess he had his time to shine in the first one.
I was sad to see Rick
dramatize him in the first one with the whole pink unicorn to try to play into Deadpool. I mean,
that was weird.
I don't like when they force it. I don't like the force job. Like, these characters, these stories can really glow on their own. Don't cram that shit down someone's face.
Great.
Don't force it out there.
Okay.
He was actually better in the second one, in the beach scene, than he was throughout the whole first one, I thought, because
he uses boomerangs.
He uses boomerangs and he's like chopping dudes' heads in half and stuff. I was like, yo, that's pretty sweet. I was sad to see Rick Flag go. I like Rick Flag.
Yeah.
Rick Flag is a character that obviously isn't like a great character. He doesn't have a lot of like DC. He's not very standout, but I've always been a massive Rick Flag fan. And it's hard to think of the Suicide Squad without Rick Flag, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, and Amanda Waller, last thing, sorry, Amanda Waller always nailed Amanda Waller. Like, just home run, grand slam. Yeah,
perfect for the role.
All right, so now that we've gone through all of our reviews on Suicide Squad, let's get back to something else. So if anybody has skipped over that section of talking about Suicide Squad, we're done. We can now get into some comic book news. So today, and this is perfect because we're all big fans of this writer. So today, over on every type of website, but this is coming over from Gizmodo, the Batman writer James Tynion IV is moving from DC to SubStack. So both Zack and myself had no idea what SubStack was until Matt over here told us. But so what we know right now is James Tynion is leaving. He announced today that after Batman 117, which is coming out in November, and the Joker issue 14, which is coming out in April of 2022, he is heading over to Substack to have his own more creative control over some of the books. His first book that is going to be coming out in September is called Blue Book, which is an original UFO comic book written by him and drawn by Michael Avon Omeng. Basically, not too much information about it, but I mean, this is huge news. I'll go first. I don't know. Like, after this, so with James Tynion kind of leaving these two books, I obviously love Batman. I'm a big Batman fan. I really think it's only a few titles that I'm like still getting on DC, and then the Joker as well has been an unbelievable great series.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going to happen, who they're going to bring in, who they're going to maybe try to coerce over from Marvel. But this is huge news for DC losing a great writer on these titles. So that's my opinion. Zach, what do you got on this?
Yeah, I mean, I love Tynion. We were saying, like, off camera, how pretty much everything he touches right now is gold, from Something Is Killing the Children to Nice House on the Lake, Detective Comics. I'm sorry, the Batman, and then
we did Detective
Detective. Yeah, so he's hot right now, so hot right now, James Tynion. And yeah, dude, I don't know. I mean, is it sad? Maybe. I mean, Batman is a character. I'm not super sad because he's leaving a character that can get any writer. Everyone wants to write Batman. So I'm not worried about who comes in and replaces him. It'd be worse if it was like, I don't know, like a character who hasn't had a good run in a while and he had totally like beefed it up and now he's leaving. But I'm excited to see what else he does, man. I was actually looking right now. He's not the only big name that's going over to the Substack. I'm seeing Scott Snyder, Jonathan Hickman, Nick Spencer, Saladin Ahmad, and Molly Ostertag as well have all joined the Substack and going to be putting out comics. So they're calling it the Substack Revolution, bro. Might have to jump on board here.
All right. So since Matt, let us know your thoughts about this, and then we're kind of going to Substack because you kind of told us about exactly what it is. So for everyone out there listening.
Yeah, Substack's a pretty cool thing. I had the privilege of kind of reading up on it today. So just to go off, it's a sad day for DC. I'm sorry. Zach, you said it right. DC will always have somebody that wants to write Batman.
Right.
But it's not going to be someone that writes Batman good.
Very true.
And it's not someone that brings a true original story. I mean, when you have these super long runs, you need to have someone that's able to come in out of the box, come up with something original, a different take on a different story, exaggerate on these characters a little bit more. And he did that. He did it in Joker. He did it in his Batman run. And that is what has made him so successful in Something Killing the Children, Department of Truth, Nice House on the Lake. He is leaving because he's able to now stand on his own without Batman. He's creating these new characters that have Batman capabilities in their own storylines where he doesn't have to compete with DC. He doesn't have to mesh with what they like and what they approve. And he can just be himself. And Substack is his perfect opportunity to do that. And he has a 24-hour sale, opening door, welcoming package that he is offering. There's 2 packages on there if you click on it. I believe one is $75 as entry level, and then there's the $250 one for a year. And he's giving away 6 exclusive comics for his new series that you can't get anywhere else, only on Substack. And he will also autograph one of those books and send it to you. So not only are you getting the content, not only are you getting the news, you're getting it directly from him, not filtered down, what he wants to say about his books that he's working on and creating. And you're getting exclusive content that you're not going to be able to get at any store, or 15 other comic book stores are going to be able to create a variant of and crush your wallet. I mean, the guy's just making good stories. I mean, Something Killing the Truth, good story. Nice House on the Lake, we're on book 3. I think 3 just came out.
3, yeah.
Amazing
awesome
story. And that's a 12-series run. That's how Something Killing the Children started. It was 8, and then they extended it to 15. And now we're on 16. Now you got another spin-off with House of Slaughter coming. I mean, he is growing this universe. And again, with the possibilities of tying in Something to Killing the Children instances with Department of Truth conspiracy theories, with Apocalypse of Nice House on the Lake, he's building this universe that, quite frankly, you don't need Marvel. You don't need DC. You've done it. I mean, you've created characters that we're investing in and we want to read. And these books are flying off the shelves. And he's got bids in for Department of Truth on Netflix series. Something to Killing the Children just landed 2 huge directors for Netflix. I mean, the man can pretty much write his own path from this point on. And I met him at Third Eye Comics right in the beginning of the summer, and he's awesome. He signed like 15 books for me for free. Like, didn't charge nothing. Like, he just straight signed them. Was so happy to be there, and was happy people were reading his stuff. So,
yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. You're right. It'll be sad to see him like leave because he was crushing out Batman, and just his story is so good. But I kind of fell down the rabbit hole while we were talking and looking at it. There seems like there's a lot of guys moving over. I mean, are we seeing the sequel to the beginning of Image Comics here? Like with all those main big writers leaving years ago, Marvel and DC, and going to an Image and starting their own thing? Is that what we're kind of seeing with the Substack? I mean, a lot of these writers get upset about the fact that they create these characters and they have 0 rights to them. And I get that. And I was reading also on the information that Substack allows them to have all the rights, publishing rights, creator rights, and everything. So, I mean, monetarily and financially, it makes sense, So, and they know we're going to follow. They know we're going to read them.
I was, as soon as it came out and I read what it was, I was in for the 250 package this morning. I was in.
And Hickman has one as well. I saw Hickman's got the same thing, kind of like I think I quickly saw $80 a year, $8 a month, or $250 as well for like a, what'd you call it? The sign up, like the beginning
like
crew.
The welcome bonus package that gives you like it's the hook, line, and sinker. I call it, man. They when I get exclusive books of his and with his free mind, I want to read it. I do.
Yeah.
I got to tell you something, and really nobody actually knows this. I can remember. So we all know kind of like Tynion's story, how he was like, Scott Snyder's student, and he did a lot of the backup stuff and like the Batman books when he was on New 52, and he also was helping out with that Batman Eternal and then some Batman and Robin stuff. But when he first started out, I didn't like him because he took over Red Hood and the Outlaws. Probably in that first series on New 52 from Scott Lobdell and Ken Rockerford. And I love Lobdell. I mean, he made Red Hood and the Outlaws awesome. He took over for probably a good 10 issues, and I hated the storyline.
Which storyline was that? Do you remember?
He took it over when it was New 52. It was like right.
Was it just the Starfire Roy Harper time when it was just the three of them?
Yeah, it was just it was right around there, but it was also during that time where so they did the 0 year, but it wasn't so much. That was really what kind of got me. It was after Damian died, he took over. But yeah, it was also bringing in that Ra's al Ghul, right before Ra's al Ghul came in.
Okay.
You remember that?
Yeah, kind of. It's been a long time.
I mean, because Scott Lobdell, he was building that team, that Dark Trinity team. And then this guy comes in, and I'm just I don't get this. He's just killing Red Hood for me. Obviously, being a huge Red Hood fan, and this series was just hot for New 52. I didn't like him in the beginning, and I can remember meeting him one year very early on at New York Comic Con, and I had him sign a book because he was the writer. It was it was a sketch cover that I had a blank cover that I had someone do a sketch, and he was just there sitting. Nobody's around him, and I just was oh, he wrote this book. I was I had CGC with me. Let me just walk over and be hey, can you sign this real quick? And I can't even recall the book that it is. I just know that he's on a book that I have signed with a sketch. So, yeah, I just wasn't a fan back then. But now, yeah, he's just completely taken off to a whole new world. So, pretty good stuff. So, that's pretty much it. What we have for the evening. I really don't think there's obviously with it being Monday, we really don't have what are we currently reading right now. But I guess we can ask our guest Matt what he's currently reading, maybe something that someone, whether guy, girl, whoever's out there listening to us, they kind of know what Zach and I pretty much kind of pick on a weekly basis, or what titles we're talking about. But maybe there's something that you're reading, Matt. That
I'm on a straight indie kick. I'll be honest with you. A lot of the mainstream Marvel stories, a lot of the DC stories have really just turned me away. They're too convoluted, and I got to read 15 tie-ins to really get the full story. Then I just get lost. I mean, work's been so busy right now with COVID. It's been tough to follow all these tie-ins where you have to buy 5 different series to get the full series. So the hot stuff. Something Killing the Children always. Department of Truth always. Nice House on the Lake I think Nice House on the Lake has potential to be. You're gonna think I'm crazy to say this, but surpass Something Killing the Children because the story is so so good. I mean, that first book was it was kind of a little bit of a trudge to get through, but then the last 3 pages you were oh, when's the next book?
It's Stephen King-esque, man, in a way. It's so awesome.
The last book you'll ever read just came out. Fantastic. I have the Me You Love in the Dark. I haven't had a chance to read that. And Stray Dogs. Stray Dogs was an awesome series. I mean, I won't lie. I got on it after the hype, but when I read the book, I physically read it. Now I'm collecting every stinking horror cover. I think I have 25 horror covers, and I'm still hunting this Blair Witch cover and the Poltergeist cover because they're $300, but I need them because I have every other one.
So 2 things. Speaking of Stray Dogs, that the Poltergeist one was at Terrificon. One Stop Cop Shop had it, and they wanted $350 for it.
The graded one was $1,200.
Yes, yeah, I asked them. They're nice guys, but I mean, listen, that's the going price. So yeah, the Stray Dogs is definitely crazy, and I'm glad you brought that up because this was actually something that I wanted to talk about, and it's going to kind of be my rant. I don't get. Oh, this is going to be perfect. I don't get why all these retailers are out there doing exclusive covers for trade paperbacks. Like, I'm sorry, like I'm a variant guy. People know me, like I am all about the variants, the ratio variants, this and that. Exclusive stores. I'll go out and get every Spider-Gwen variant that's out there, every freaking Star Wars High Republic that's out there. But the fact that these people are going out and doing exclusive trade paperback covers and people are going nuts for them blows my mind.
The hardcovers for Something Kill the Children. They wanted.
Oh, those two.
What do they want? Nocturnal Rabbit originally had theirs priced at $150, and they got flamed on the internet. Like straight, they're still holding the bag on so many books because of how ridiculous they got with this cover.
There's just not much collectible aspect to collected edition in terms of like value, I guess is what I mean. Obviously, there's like some omnibuses that are whales, but that's just because they go out of print, you know. But not necessarily because of the variant cover at all.
I think I own one out of all like my trades. I may have one exclusive like trade paperback, but it was still discounted to the same price that the regular trade paperback was gonna be. So I was just like, oh, whatever. I'll just pick up this cover. Not like I cared what the cover was. And it's not even a big title. It was Seven to Eternity, Volume 1. Like I like the series.
One of the first things I ever bought off you, Justin. You had like 2018. You had a 4-book run of the Turtles, with #1 signed by Kevin Eastman, and I bought that because I couldn't find it anywhere. And I again, from that moment, you hooked me up as a customer 2.5 years ago, and I've again following the podcast, following the sales, following Lords of the Long Box. It's just it's the experience. Going back again, Comic-Cons, people, movies. If you don't have a good experience, they're going to turn you away. Look at artists not having a good experience. DC turning them away, gone away. Like it's all about experiences anymore.
Man, side note, I meant to talk about this earlier, real quick. But did you see?
Pulling more stuff at the end of the show.
Did you see? Well, it's kind of based on what Matt said and everything we've talked about. I mean, this has been a very DC heavy show. And did you read any of the comments Rob Liefeld said about DC? Like just like today or something, basically saying like they're a sinking ship. They're going down. Like DCEU can just not keep up with Marvel. Like
when he draws when he can draw a good set of feet, you know, his opinions will matter.
He just has so much hate in his heart. That guy. No, I want those books you mentioned. Those are all ones that I'm reading right now too. I haven't read the Me You Love in the Dark yet either, and I'm looking forward to that one. And then when we were finishing the show, I finished Nottingham issue 5 of that miniseries. It was so good.
I want that Robin Hood story 100% on the big screen.
Yeah, it was really, really good. Really, really surprised by that. How much I like that series.
Awesome. Well, this has been an absolute wonderful episode. Matt, thank you so much for coming on episode 31 in the books, as I always say. Before we let you go, please tell everyone where they can find you one last time so they go ahead and follow and sub you up.
Take a minute, just go on Instagram, look up Last Level Comics. It does have an X in front of it, but if you search Last Level Comics, you'll find me. I got a really goofy comic guy with some pow and some bams behind him. And always trying to drop them funny memes, specifically about Loki has given me some meme gold when it comes to dropping some funny content on IG.
Yep, I'm here with the Last Level Comic sticker. It's on my wall. So.
Look at that. They gave the guy more hair on his face than I have on my head, so you know.
Yeah, he's a pretty lumberjack looking guy on this.
I mean, come on. I mean, the eyebrows are close, but I mean, the hair under the hat, they just kind of went over the top with. just rubbing it in. You never have a sticker that just embarrasses you more, you know?
Oh, of course. That's why I just stick with my my actual Transformer as my logo instead of me. Zach, closing thoughts?
No, appreciate it, Matt. Thanks for coming on. It's always great to have people from the community talking their opinion, and even if you hated Suicide Squad, but you know, it's great, dude. It's better to have someone who didn't like it rather than like 3 people who just gush over it. Because I'm sure some listeners here also weren't fans and probably were like, dude, these 2 dudes are idiots, and that Matt guy's awesome. I hope he starts a podcast.
Look, I just hope you have me back when the Batman drops Robert Pattinson. So because quite frankly, I'm on a tightrope with whether or not that's going to be an absolute dumpster fire or it's going to be something good. So,
all right.
I have hopes, man. I have hopes.
We'll look for 2022 for your return.
So.
But for my closing thoughts, again, I appreciate Matt so much for coming on. I know it was kind of like a last minute thing, but really, bro, from the bottom of my heart, you were fucking kick ass last week at Terrificon. We've talked obviously on Instagram. We've known each other on YouTube and Instagram, but it was an absolute pleasure hanging out with you all weekend. Your wife and Travis, like, really, that's what the community is all about. Like, to everybody out there listening, I never met Matt before. He lives in Pennsylvania. I live in New Jersey. The fact that we both, got together, we were talking before the convention, hey, here's my phone number, let's meet up. And then just every night we were there together, Friday night hanging out, Saturday night. Like, it was just an absolute blast and an absolute pleasure to hang out with you. And I highly, very much consider you my friend here, in the community and out of the community. So Matt, thank you so much for coming on as well.
I can't wait. My wife even texted me mid-show. Make sure that there's a mechanical bull honorable mention on that podcast, because that moment will be gone to infamy.
Well, hey, man, San Antonio, I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of mechanical bulls in San Antonio.
Let's talk, Justin. Maybe we can get a room.
Yeah, once I end this podcast, I'm absolutely going to look into this show. So tell your wife I said hi, and that's it for everyone here at the Comic-Con podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Later.